A revolver has a rotating cylinder, usually with 5 or 6 chambers. The chambers hold the ammunition. Releasing the cylinder latch allows the cylinder to swing out for loading, unloading, and inspection. The cylinder is unloaded by depressing the ejector rod. This is the trigger, which fires the weapon, the trigger guard, and the grip or handle. A revolver is never unloaded or made safe by simply spinning the cylinder to an empty chamber.
Revolvers are either single or double action. The only function of the trigger of the single action revolver is to release the hammer to fire the weapon. The hammer must be manually cocked in order to fire the single action revolver. The trigger of the double action revolver both cocks the hammer as well as releases it for firing. As the trigger is pulled, the action of the trigger lines up the chamber with the barrel and firing pin. The continued pull of the trigger releases the hammer, firing the revolver.
This is a semi-automatic pistol. The semi-automatic has a single chamber. Each time the trigger is pulled, a cartridge is fired, the empty case is automatically extracted and ejected, the hammer is cocked, and a new cartridge is loaded into the chamber. The basic parts are the slide lock, the hammer, the trigger and trigger guard, the magazine and the magazine release, the grip, and the safety.
You load the ammunition into the magazine as described in the owner's manual. The magazine is then inserted firmly into the pistol at the bottom of the grip, like this. Remember, even with the magazine removed, a semi-automatic may still have one round in the chamber. You won't know until you inspect the chamber yourself. You inspect it by first removing the magazine, keeping your finger off the trigger, and then pulling the slide to the rear and, if possible, locking the slide back. The action is now open and you can visually check the chamber to ensure it is empty.
Semi-automatic handgun owners need to be particularly careful. If you only remove the magazine and don't clear the chamber, your weapon may still be loaded, and that could cause a tragedy.
Any questions you have regarding the operation of your handgun should be directed to a gun dealer or the manufacturer of the gun.
There is no such thing as being too careful with children and guns. Child safety precautions apply even if you don't have children, because you could have child visitors at any time. Never leave a firearm lying around the house. If you keep a loaded handgun on the premises where you are in custody or control of any child under the age of 18 and that child uses it, you are subject to criminal prosecution unless you store the weapon in a locked storage container or the gun has a California-approved locking device.
Obviously, you should never leave a gun unsafely stored in the house. Nevertheless, children playing with guns remains a major cause of accidental shootings. Do not assume handguns are safe around toddlers because you think they lack the strength to pull the trigger. A child's thumb has twice the strength of the other fingers, and when the toddler manages to pull the trigger with the thumbs, the weapon is usually facing the child.
Children are naturally curious about something new to them or things they think are forbidden. If your child asks you questions about guns or begins to act out gun play, that is a good time to talk about guns honestly and openly. By doing so, you will help remove the mystery and reduce their natural curiosity. It is important to convey to a child the difference between real and make-believe, that critical difference between a real gun and a toy gun. These can look very alike to a child, and the child needs to understand that the real gun can hurt or kill someone.
Children around you will learn by observing your actions. It cannot be emphasized enough that by practicing safe conduct, you will also be teaching safe conduct.
Unfortunately, it is entirely possible for a child to discover a gun with no adults around, at home, at a friend's house, or at a public place like a park. It is important for children to know the rules for this situation before it happens. Stop.
Don't touch.
Leave the area.
And tell an adult.
Children who find a gun should stop whatever they are doing. They should never touch a found gun.
They should immediately leave the area. No child should attempt to take a gun away from another child or attempt to stop another child from using a gun. They should just leave. And as soon as possible, they should tell an adult about the gun and whether other kids are playing with or shooting the gun.
You've just seen the basic rules for handgun safety, operation, and storage. Check what you've learned by answering these sample test questions. Drinking alcohol while handling guns is safe if your blood alcohol level remains below the legal limit. True or false? The answer is false. Alcohol and firearms never mix, ever.
The safest place to point a handgun is to the north, away from yourself, someone else, or anything you can damage, up or down. The answer is away from yourself, someone else, or anything you can damage.
It is important for you to always practice gun safety rules at all times so that children will be positively influenced by your role modeling. True or false? The answer is true. Children will learn by watching. Be a good example of proper gun safety.
And finally, if you improperly store a handgun and a child injures someone or improperly uses it some other way, you could face criminal charges. True or false? The answer is true.
After studying the Handgun Safety Certificate Study Guide and viewing this video, you should be able to pass the Handgun Safety Certificate written test and get your handgun safety certificate. Please keep in mind that while a handgun safety certificate is required by law to obtain a handgun, it is really only the first step in responsible gun ownership. It is your obligation to know and follow all laws and safety procedures for gun safety.
Remember, safe handgun ownership requires you to carefully practice all of the rules and laws of gun safety. You must help prevent gun tragedies from occurring. Gun safety begins with you. It is your responsibility.